Good afternoon, everyone. Praise be Jesus and Mary. For our topic, it will be the second domain of the PPTS, which is the learning environment. So, in the learning environment, it provides teachers the guidelines in order to create a good learning environment for the students. So, this domain provides us with three purpose or goals. First, it provides us learning environments that are safe, secure, fair, and supportive in order to promote learner responsibility and achievement. In this purpose, this will be further elaborated by the report of Ms. Zeftani Nilias in her report for the first and second strands. The second purpose tells us that this domain centers on creating an environment that is learning focused and in which teachers efficiently manage learner behavior in a physical and virtual space. This will be further discussed by Ms. Iravil Bation in her report for the third and fourth strands. This will also be reported by yours truly in my report on the sixth strand. Lastly, we have the purpose of utilizing a range of resources and provide intellectually challenging and stimulating activities. This will be further elaborated within my report on the fifth strand.
So the first strand of the domain 2, which talks about the learning environment, is the safety and the security. So keeping school safe allows children to look forward to being in an encouraging environment that promotes social and creative learning. When their basic safety needs aren't met, children are or may at risk for not feeling comfortable at school and may stop showing up, or they may remain on edge throughout the day. So safety and security here also encompasses the social and emotional well-being. Students deserve to feel comfortable at school so that they can really focus on learning and they can contribute very much to the learning environment. So, concerns for safety had an impact on students' thinking, learning, and behavior. It makes it very hard for them, for us, when you get bullied because your mind is still thinking about it. So, safety and school is also very important. It's very essential for children who may not experience safety in other aspects of their lives. So the second strand of domain 2 is the fair learning environment. Well, as for me, I really believe that the most important aspect in a safe and learning environment is the rapport between a teacher and his or her students. So when the students understand that their teacher cares about them or love them and wants them to do well, students may feel comfortable asking questions, making mistakes, and taking risks in order to learn something new. So to build these kinds of relationships, the teacher should take interest in each student's strengths and interests, as well as their struggles and frustrations. So the teacher needs to act as a positive model for learning and celebrating the achievements of his or her students. So when the students can see that their teacher can learn from his or her mistakes, and laugh even in times when he or she feels very frustrated about himself or herself, the students will feel much more comfortable to do the same.
The third strand in the second domain, the learning environment, is the management of classroom structure and activities. Here, we will see what are the best ways and strategies of the teachers to achieve an effective learning environment, or the classroom to be exact, for the learners. For the beginning teachers, their role is to demonstrate knowledge of managing classroom structure that engages learners individually or in groups in meaningful exploration, discovery, and hands-on activities within the available physical learning environment. This explains that classroom management is the orchestration of the learning environment of students. It may be in group or individually within a classroom setting. A classroom in which the teacher takes complete responsibility for guiding students' actions constitutes a different learning environment than one in which students are encouraged and taught to assume responsibility for their own behaviors. Creating and implementing a learning environment means careful planning of the teacher. For the beginning teachers, they only demonstrate or give a practical exhibition and explanation on how the students should engage with one another in terms of activities. Next is the profession teachers. The profession teachers are the ones who manage classroom structure to engage learners individually or in groups in meaningful exploration, discovery, and hands-on activities within a range of physical learning environments. Teaching proficiency means the knowledge, skills, abilities, and attitude which teachers need to have in order to promote learning processes and the management of the classroom. The profession teacher is a combination of being expert and has didactical knowledge, practical teaching experiences, skills that have been learned and practiced, and has wider insights and attitudes that shape the teacher because of his or her teaching experiences, as what I mentioned a while ago. It evolves as teachers consciously design their lesson to the needs of the students and their specific disposition, and then watch carefully how their students respond. So the next one is the highly proficient teachers who work with colleagues to model and share effective techniques in the management of classroom structure to engage learners individually or in groups in meaningful exploration, discovery, and hands-on activities within a range of physical learning environments. An education system that teachers spend too much of their time distanced from their colleagues and encouraging competition rather than collaboration is making it difficult for teachers to solve educational and institutional issues. Things don't have to be that way, for they need to establish shared values and commitments that can unify them to attain the goals in educating the learners. The teacher must know that he or she needs to collaborate with other teachers, teach and learn process, since we all have unique skills and knowledge, so it can be worth it to share those things with others. Two minds are better than one, right? So let's just say that working together on a lesson plan can be a great way to build better lessons for the students. If you're seeing amazing results from students in your classroom, there's no need not to share your techniques and lessons with other teachers. Improving your education is one way to become a better teacher, but it can also be a great way to build a rapport with your colleagues. This could certainly not just help the students' improvement, but as well as to the personal development of a teacher. After all, it is one of the rules of the teachers to work with their colleagues. So we're done with the highly proficient teachers. Let's move on to the distinguished teachers who model exemplary practices in the management of classroom structure and activities, and lead colleagues at the whole school level to review and evaluate their practices. Teachers who model exemplary practices in the management of classroom structure. A distinguished teacher is the one who earns an effectiveness level of proficiency. These teachers achieve high scores in the three components of TEI: teacher performance, student achievement. We're done with the third strand, so let's move on to the fourth one, the support for learners' participation. For the beginning teachers, they demonstrate understanding of supportive learning environments that nurture and inspire learners' participation. The goal of increasing participation is not to have every student participate in the same way or at the same rate. Instead, it is to create an environment in which all participants have the opportunity to learn and in which the class explores issues and ideas in depth from a variety of viewpoints. I know that you have ideas that could help improve the learner's participation, and the use of verbal and nonverbal cues are of course a need to encourage participation. The teachers do not rely on the same volunteers to answer every question. They know how to respond to frequent volunteers in a way that indicates that they appreciate the responses of the same student who always participate in class, but also want to hear from others as well. As you have observed, teachers move to a part of the room where quiet students are sitting. When you see the teacher smiling and making eye contact with these students are one of the moves of the teacher to encourage them to speak up. By the same token, when frequent volunteers speak, they look around the room rather than only at them to encourage others to respond. Also, teachers could also use learning materials that could heighten the courage and confidence of the learners to participate in class discussions. These strategies are being maintained by the profession teachers. They maintain supportive learning environments that nurture and inspire learners to participate, cooperate, and collaborate in continued learning. And another strategy of the profession teachers to lead frequent discussions and consider moving the chairs into a circle one or U shape to encourage the students to speak with one another. These students collaborate with each other. Forming a circle is really the best way for us to collaborate with each other. So it is really an ideal strategy. In highly professional teachers, they work with colleagues to share successful strategies that sustain supportive learning environments that also nurture and inspire learners to participate, cooperate, and collaborate in continued learning. So teachers who are highly proficient do not just seal their strategies with them. Instead, they share it with other teachers, especially those who are in problem in making their students participate in their class. They share their knowledge and proficiency while learning from colleagues. They will surely make their work a better place not just for the learners but also to the teachers as well. Now, the last one, the distinguished teachers. They facilitate processes to review the effectiveness of the school's learning environment, to nurture and inspire learners' participation. When students are able to see how they are doing in a class, they are able to determine whether or not they understand the course material. This also works for the teachers. They also review if their strategies in improving the learners' participation and collaboration with each other is a successful one.
The fifth strand of the second domain is the promotion of purposive learning. In purposive learning, this entails us to create a learning environment where students are motivated to learn, or at the very least, the action of learning is done by themselves. So this is implied through various strategies. So for beginning teachers, which will be us in the future, are expected to demonstrate knowledge of learning environments that motivate learners to work productively by assuming responsibility for their own learning. In this competency for beginning teachers, it expects us to have at least one strategy to motivate our learners or future learners to work on their own, to learn on their own. Next, we have the proficient teachers. They are the teachers who apply a range of successful strategies that maintain learning environments that motivate learners to work productively by assuming responsibility for their own learning. Proficient teachers are differed from beginning teachers since they are now applying multiple strategies. So this creates a variety within the discussions that are created by this type of teachers. The third one, we have the highly proficient teachers. They are the ones who model successful strategies and support colleagues in promoting learning environments that effectively motivate learners to work productively by assuming responsibility for their own learning. So highly proficient teachers are taking it a step up by having multiple strategies on their own, but at the same time they are creating or supporting a community in education wherein they may support their co-teachers or get support from them through various advices that will help them in decision making on what is the truly effective strategy to use in promoting purposive learning. Then lastly, we have the distinguished teachers, the ones who are excellent in teaching due to experience and their studies. So they lead and empower colleagues in promoting learning environments that effectively motivate learners to achieve quality outcomes by assuming responsibility for their own learning. So in this case, the distinguished teachers are the ones who are the models for beginning teachers, the proficient and highly proficient teachers. The last strand of the second domain is the management of learner behavior. In this case, learner behavior not only pertains to the bad behavior of students, but also those who are doing well. So let's explore on how we should as teachers manage the various types of behavior that will be exemplified by students. So for beginning teachers, they are expected to demonstrate knowledge of positive and nonviolent discipline in the management of learner behavior. So in this case, beginning teachers are expected to apply the theories that they have learned, and they may approach bad behavior through positive and nonviolent disciplinary measures. So this may be in the way of talking to the student in a private manner. So rather than publicly humiliating them. Then we have the proficient teachers who manage learner behavior constructively by applying positive and nonviolent discipline to ensure learning focused environments. So in this case, proficient teachers are now well versed in applying appropriate disciplinary measures by ensuring that learning environments are still there. So this may apply as a lesson for everyone, or at the very least, try to change the bad behavior of that delinquent student. Then we have the third type of teacher, which is the highly proficient ones. They are the ones who exhibit effective and constructive behavior management skills by applying positive and nonviolent discipline to ensure learning-focused environments. So in this case, these teachers may apply it to their lessons, help change the behavior of their students, but also help good behaving students in maintaining such exemplary behavior. So this may come through as in the form of praising the student in front of their peers. So at the very least, it socially and psychologically reinforces that good behavior within the minds of the students. Then lastly, we have the distinguished teachers, the most experienced ones, who provide leadership in applying a wide range of strategies in the implementation of positive and nonviolent discipline policies or procedures to ensure learning-focused environments. So in this case, we can see this in teachers who have been known to be loved by the students, so much that at one glance they may immediately follow the teacher's command, or even a nonverbal one. This also applies to their fellow teachers who follow the distinguished teacher in trying to follow their advices in order to create a better management of learner behavior. That will be all for our topic on the second domain of the PPTS. I hope you have understood everything that we have discussed today. Thank you for listening.